Bonjour. My name is Hercule Parrot. I'm a private detective and Belgian waffle lover. Over the years, I have solved many, many mysteries. But there is one mystery I cannot understand. One that has puzzled me my whole life. And it is right here. I think I am beginning to understand. This Jesus was not just a man. But why? Why did he have to die? To find out, I must use the little grey cells and picture myself once more in the case. Madame, Monsieur Pilot, please, for the third time, please tell me what happened on that day without interrupting each other.
Well, I've been told these reports that he was the king of the Jews. There he was, standing in front of me. He'd been beaten. I was asking him to answer me, giving him an opportunity to prove his innocence. But he didn't say a word. It was so strange. Anyway, it was the custom at that time of year for me to release one prisoner of the people's choosing. The crowd, they shouted that they wanted Jesus crucified and a criminal called Barabbas freed. And right at that time, as usual, my lovely wife interrupts me.
Yes, that's right, I did. You see, detective, I sent my messenger to him whilst he was right there in his judge's seat. And the messenger told him about my dream, that my husband should not do anything to this poor man, Jesus, that he was innocent. I told you, Pilate, but as always, you didn't listen to me.
Darling, please, you didn't hear the chief priests and the elders. They told the crowd to choose Barabbas instead of Jesus. And they shouted so loudly for Jesus to be killed. I even asked them, why? What crime has he committed? But they just kept shouting louder and louder. I didn't know what else to do.
So you did what you always do. You washed your hands of any responsibility for your actions. Literally.
That's right, I did. It was the crowd who got him killed, not me. I handed him over to be crucified because that's what they wanted. Look, Schnookums, I really agree with you, I do. I think he was innocent too.
Right. That's it. No meatloaf for you tonight.
But I love her meatloaf.
Those two. Perhaps the only thing they can agree on is that Jesus was innocent. Only someone who has to pay for a crime is put in prison. And so why then would an innocent man be put on a cross? Perhaps our next witness can help us.
Well, I'm Simon, and I'm from Cyrene originally, which is about 1,200 miles west of here. And I was heading towards Jerusalem, and I was just walking along minding my own business when I came across this massive crowd of people, and they were following this man called Jesus. And I'd heard of him before because he was really famous for doing miracles and healings all over Israel. And some people even said he was the Son of God.
And you saw this Jesus?
Yeah, I managed to get into the middle of the crowd, and he just looked in a terrible state. You could see he'd been beaten really badly, and he had cuts and bruises all over him, and there were thorns around his head, and they'd been twisted together to look like a crown, and it looked really painful. He was carrying a massive wooden cross, but he was so weak from all the pain that he could barely lift it, and he just kept stumbling with it. And some of the people were shouting at him and taunting him, and the soldiers kept shoving him and pushing him over. It was just horrible. But what got me though was that he didn't retaliate to any of it, and he just seemed really humble and really just totally resolved to get to where he was going. Then out of nowhere, one of the guards pushed him so hard, he fell to the ground, and he was so weak, he just couldn't get back up again.
That must have been awful to see, Monsieur.
It was just horrible. And I decided I couldn't bear to watch it anymore. So I started to leave, but then one of the soldiers grabbed hold of me and told me I had to carry the cross for him. And I just said, look, it's nothing to do with me. I'm not even from round here. I'm just passing through. But then a load of them started threatening me, and they forced me to do it. So I didn't have much choice, really. So they pulled Jesus up and put the cross on my back, and they told me I had to walk behind him with it through the crowds. It was made of really rough wood, and I got loads of splinters from it. It was really heavy as well. As we started to walk, Jesus looked back at me, and it really took me aback, because despite all the pain he was in and all that he was going through, he just looked into my eyes with this amazing, beautiful look. And I'd never met him before in my life, but it was like he knew everything about me, even all the bad stuff. But all I could see in his eyes was just this incredible, powerful, unwavering love for me. It was amazing.
And how did that make you feel?
Well, it's just like nothing I'd ever felt before. It was amazing. And it was weird, because it was as if everything I'd done wrong was just totally forgiven. And even though I was carrying that heavy cross, it felt like a massive weight had been lifted off my shoulders. And I'll never forget that moment as long as I live. And that was when I knew that there was something really special about Jesus. And I just somehow knew deep in my heart that he really was the Son of God. And of course, well, after that, I just felt, completely honoured to carry that cross for him. And we stumbled on for what seemed like ages. There was a huge crowd of people following behind us. A lot of them were Jesus' followers, and they were crying and wailing for him. And some of them tried to help him, but the guards just kept pushing them away and wouldn't let them. Eventually, we got to this big hill called Golgotha, and that means place of the skull. And that's where they used to take all the criminals to be crucified. So the guards took the cross off my back and put it on the ground between two other men who were being crucified as well.
That sounds terrible, Monsieur. Can I ask, what are these?
Well, this bit's horrible. It was so they laid the cross on the ground, and they nailed Jesus to it through his hands and feet. Then they lifted it up and put it in the ground, and they hung this sign above his head, and it said, "This is the King of the Jews." But it was meant to mock him, and a lot of them were just stood around laughing. It was awful. But again, Jesus just blew me away at this point. You could see he was in agony up there on that cross. But he just looked at the soldiers again with that beautiful, amazing, powerful love in his eyes. And he cried out, "Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing." It was really powerful.
Monsieur Simon, thank you for your time.
This was no ordinary crucifixion. Perhaps there's more.
Monsieur, tell me where you were the day Jesus was crucified.
Well, I was doing my job. I'm a hard worker.
And a Roman centurion, I see.
Yes, of course, yes.
You must be very proud of your work.
Well, normally I am. I take pride in what I do. But not that day. Not that day that Jesus died. I'm normally very professional when it comes to my work. But that day, when I was standing out there, standing out by the crucifixion, as I normally would do on any normal day, I saw Jesus up there on the cross. And down below, I saw my soldiers casting lots for Jesus' possessions, which would have been fine in normal circumstances. But this Jesus, he had done nothing wrong. And the sign that was above him on the cross, the King of the Jews, this man was someone special. And as I looked around, I saw the pain in the women's eyes as they were looking up to the cross. They were crying, they were very upset. And we had drawn quite a big crowd. Normally, we don't have that many people viewing our crucifixions, but this day was different. This day was different. It was very strange. And then, as what normally happens, is that people die who are put to death. And Jesus gave out this massive cry, and all of a sudden he had died. But something very strange happened. The sky went dark in the middle of the day. The ground started shaking. And in fact, some of my colleagues who work down in the city, in the temple, told me that the curtain between the Holy of Holies was torn in two. As I looked up to the cross and saw Jesus there, I said, surely this man was the Son of God. He was very special.
Magnifique! Jesus was the Son of God. He paid for our sins. That is why he had to die. Yes, we were the guilty ones. He was innocent. And yet on the cross he bore our sins. Because he loves us, perhaps. Yes, this is starting to make sense. But hang on. Why would the Son of God stay dead? Surely there must be more to this case.